Yo, what is good guys? Back here with another YouTube video, and in case you cannot tell by the title below, this video will be a video where I share my honest thoughts and opinions on someone or something going on in this wacky, weird world people decided to call professional wrestling, and I figured that with WrestleMania 39 just days away, I figured that I would share some of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. Before I share my list, I would love to know which matches are on your list down in the comments below. While you are down there, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, turn on post notification. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but it would mean a lot to myself if you did. And I just want to say, for my personal list, there are 5 different WrestleManias, kind of deal. I think the best word is represented, for my list. And I could have put a couple of matches from 38, couple of matches from 30, or a couple of matches from WrestleMania 28 as well. But I purposely chose 5 different WrestleManias to kind of spice it up, so to speak. I guess honorable mentions are Edge and Undertaker from WrestleMania 24, and that's kind of my favorite because Edge main evented WrestleMania 24. Then there's the main event of WrestleMania 30. I had another match on my list, and again, I did not want to have 2 or more from the same WrestleMania. Then there is the WrestleMania 35 match in between Kofi and Daniel Bryan. Cool moment, just didn't necessarily break into my favorites kind of deal. And then there is probably the 2 most controversial ones, WrestleMania 25 in between Taker and HBK. I'll explain why later, a little bit of a spoiler, and then Taker and Triple H, one of my favorite WrestleManias, but favorite WrestleManias kind of deal, one of my favorite matches from that night. Just couldn't justify putting that one over the one that's actually on this list. But either way, number 5, before I get to number 5, again, would love to know what's on your list down in the comments below. And number 5 from WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. Yeah, the main event between Bryan, Orton, and Batista was fun, but once Daniel Bryan kind of was inserted into that match, I think everybody figured that he would win. But for the Daniel Bryan Triple H match, I don't know, I personally, I knew that Daniel Bryan was going to win, but there was that little doubt in my head that that Triple H would win. And you could argue this is one of the last better matches of Triple H's career, especially for his WrestleMania career. He had one not so good, in my opinion, match at 31, 32, not good. 33 was, if that was the Seth Rollins one, that was really good. 34, it was a good enough mixed tag. 35 was Batista, and that was hit and miss. But either way, arguably one of his last really good, really fun matches was WrestleMania 30 in between him and Daniel Bryan, and had a really good time watching it back. However many times I've watched it back, more times than I care to admit. Then you went from WrestleMania 30 to WrestleMania 20, Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero, and this one is my favorite. It was a really good match, don't get me wrong, but it was more of a, Eddie Guerrero was one of my guys, especially back then. And it, like, second favorite wrestler of all time. He walked in and out of the first WrestleMania I was a fan of as world champion. And as a 10-year-old kid back in 2004, could not watch WrestleMania live because of, part of it was because of the price tag. I would say about 90% of it. 10% was because I don't think I would have been able to stay up for the whole event kind of deal and whatnot. But either way, this match, watching it back on DVD, again, countless times in the years that have passed, still holds up considering this match took place back in 04. And you go from WrestleMania 20 at the granddaddy of them all to another granddaddy of them all, and bigger stadium versus Madison Square Garden, better city, arguably Miami, or at least weather-wise, to a more notable match, the once in a lifetime that turned into twice in a lifetime in between Rock and Cena. And I know that a lot of people would pick their the Undertaker Triple H Hell in the Cell is the best match of the night, but this one, the match bell to bell wise, the Hell in a Cell match was better. But this one, I think I've said it a couple of times before. I was at a movie theater watching this in Barrie, Ontario, and the atmosphere for this match, both people making their entrance, the bell ringing, the match itself, what happened after the match, is a feeling I, at that point, never really experienced before, especially when it comes to that kind of stuff and whatnot. Like, I felt, the only times I really felt that kind of same kind of feeling was my very first WWE event back in May of 07 and Survivor Series 2016 kind of deal. So having that like feeling of, oh, this is like this was the biggest match for myself ever as a wrestling fan. I started watching in 04, so I missed out on Rock and Hogan kind of deal and whatnot. So this one, it's one of my favorite matches, more so for the atmosphere than the match itself kind of deal. Second favorite match of all time is from my favorite WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 38. This one took place main event of night one, Kevin Owens versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. And this one, similar to Rock and Cena before, not necessarily the best match bell to bell, but kind of the atmosphere around it, like 70, 80,000 people, however many were in attendance. Seeing Kevin Owens main event a WrestleMania, super cool. Seeing Stone Cold Steve Austin's first official match in give or take 19 years, super cool, against each other in Dallas, Texas, even cooler and whatnot. And like I said, the match is not the best in comparison to other matches on this list, or even arguably either night of WrestleMania and whatnot. But again, it's one of my favorites because of the atmosphere, kind of the more the, I don't know for sure if emotions is the right word, but I've been a fan of Kevin Owens at that time for give or take like 11, 12 years, and seeing him in front of like 300 people winning Ring of Honor's world title a decade before to now main eventing WrestleMania in a large ass stadium with a lot of people there against Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's more of the kind of the stuff around the match than the match itself. And number one, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 26. Easily, by leaps and bounds, my favorite WrestleMania match of all time. And I know that a lot of people will say that the WrestleMania 25 match, bell to bell, is the best one, which is here and there. But for myself personally, for those who don't know, I like kind of the storytelling, the atmosphere, the emotion going in and coming out of a match. And I had more emotion going into the match because of the story being told and whatnot, and I had more emotion coming out of the match for WrestleMania 26 than I did for WrestleMania 25 kind of deal, which is kind of what I want out of professional wrestling, which is why Taker Shawn Michaels is my personal favorite of all time, without a doubt, like I said, by leaps and by bounds and whatnot. But either way, those are kind of my favorite matches in WrestleMania history. Will any of those matches be bumped for matches that will take place at WrestleMania this year? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but follow me on the social medias if you want to know and whatnot so much kind of deal. But either way, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys hit the like, subscribe, turn on post notification. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but it would mean a lot to myself if you did. More importantly, hope you guys are doing okay mentally, emotionally, and physically.
The world that we tend to make up is nothing but a fantasy until you wake up. I feel like I'm just lying to myself, yeah. Cause I just crossed the line like I'm playing offside. I do it how I want and I'ma do it till I die. Feel like I'm just lying to myself, but it's